For this tutorial, I'll be showing how to make a boat wake simulation. This is just a reference video of what exactly we're trying to look for. It has the wake, obviously, and then some whitewater simulations as well. And the process that we're going to do is actually going to give us a whitewater simulation too, on top of what just the wake simulation. So what I have here is just a box that I've modeled into a very basic boat. Now this is just stripped down just to show for the simulation exactly how you would create this. You can actually import any object you want and use the same exact simulation to, or do the same exact simulation to get the same results. So you can import a pretty complex object if you want. So now I'm just going to create an animation null because obviously we want the boat to move. And the reason that I'm using a null is so that if I do change the location of the boat at any time, the animation will be the same exact way. It'll move the same way in the same direction. I actually made a mistake here and did key in the animation on the boat, but I'll go back and fix that later. So what I'm typing in here is $FF divided by 3. $FF just calls the number of frames that are in the simulation, and then divided by 3, obviously, to make it move not that fast, not that quickly. So that just guarantees that it'll be moving throughout the entire simulation for however many frames there are. And you can see that it just kind of zips away there. So that animation null is really useful later for when we're going to track our camera with the boat. So we like to give the same animation on the camera as it goes on the boat. So I was just showing you that moving the location, you can still have that same animation. Alright, so the next step is to actually create the water simulation. So up under the ocean effects on the shelf tool, we're going to hit flat tank. And right away you can see that this is a pretty dense simulation it's given us, and the container is really, really large. So we're going to adjust that quickly before we can do anything, because really running this won't run very smoothly. But basically you can see all the different nodes I have here. I have my null and my boat, and then over here is all of the nodes that the flat tank simulation has created. So going into these nodes a little bit more, if we go into the flat tank initial, this is basically like the auto adopt node for the entire simulation. It's going to be where you're adjusting kind of the most out of the tank. Right away we can adjust the resolution of the simulation, and this is just definitely a very important thing to know if you're trying to run this on a not as powerful computer as we have in lab. So I really dialed that down, and then also I sized it down because the tank doesn't need to be that large, and really the whole point of the flat tank is so that you can have a really small tank and still make it look like you're going on a long river or down a long lake. And as you can see, it tracks right with the boat. The same animation of what the boat is, of what the boat has, is what the tank immediately has as soon as we click on it. So just hitting play, you can see that the boat and the tank track together. And you can even see the whitewater simulation right away. That also happens without even adjusting any settings. The little white particles are the ones that have the whitewater simulation. So going back into the flat tank initial, you can actually see that you can change what type of tank you want it to be, kind of how you want the water to be set up. For what we want flat tank, because that's the one that allows us to track with the animation we have on our object. So one really important thing about the flat tank though, however, is that you need to worry about the boundary layer. So since it is a moving tank, particles are going to fall out of it, and we need them to be replaced and come back into it. So this is where you can edit how big that boundary layer is to, if you need more particles coming in, you make that boundary layer bigger. And that's just to make sure there's no breaks in the tank while you move. So if you move your animation too quickly, there might be some breaks in between the particles. And to fix that and avoid that, we would come into here, into the boundary layer. Alright, so the next step is to create a camera. I'm just going to go up to Lights and Camera and Control-click on the camera. Hitting the lock button on the right side just locks me into this camera view, so I can look through it, adjust it to where I want it to be, and then unlock it and then get out of it. And I've adjusted it to exactly where the reference video kind of has the camera, so looking over the back of the boat, being able to look at the wake that the boat creates. And so the next thing that I'm going to do is just take the output of the animation null that I've created before and input it into the camera. Now that's going to apply the animation that I had on the null into the camera, so that the camera and the boat move exactly the same exact way. So really the camera, the boat, and the tank are all moving in the same exact direction at the same time, which really creates the illusion of you're moving through this huge body of water, even though that body of water is technically moving with you. So once that's done, this is pretty much the final shot, and you've created a boat wake simulation kind of coming out of the back of your boat.